Good morning. When I was preparing for this presentation, my business partner, and some of you know him, so you know this is true, he gave me two pieces of advice. He said, show this picture and they'll all see what you look like on a good day. And whatever you do, stand behind the stand because you're known to fall over, so I'm staying put. So nice to meet you. I've worked in this industry for a little while, and probably if you cut me in half, I'm a brand marketeer. But more recently, I've been running a business called Launchpad, and we do a little bit in the area of video selection. For my session, I just thought I'd talk to you a little bit about how we've seen businesses changing their behavior and adopting video as part of their recruitment process, and why I think that is, and then give you some examples of who's doing it really well. For us, what we do is use video to help businesses select and assess candidates, and also interview them. We do that in a way that's quite traceable. We want it to be very ethical and make sure that the businesses we work with have some output they can work with and make sense of. So what I mean by that is, working with businesses that think that quality of hire is a really important metric, and that your recruitment process doesn't stop having value when people are hired and carry on working. And we work across a number of different industry sectors. But what I wanted to start with, somebody sent me this yesterday and just fits nicely with Joel's conversation about Google, is that Larry Page here encourages companies to do a little more that's outside their comfort zone. Almost every time we do something crazy, we make progress. And I suppose the reason this resonated for me was that I get the great job of talking to lots of recruiters who are doing things very differently, are moving outside of their comfort zone, and are progressing very well in the area of video. So why is it having a positive effect? Let's have a look. So what we're seeing, and this is just standout, obvious stuff, but I thought it was a good frame for who's doing it right. We're seeing recruiters and just companies in general buying more technology to manage their recruitment process. They're doing that because use of technology is expanding at a gallop. We're seeing people digest data through, as Matt said, smartphone usage. Our behavior's changing all the time. And that's really positive and exciting. If you look at your own use of technology and how that's changing, what you digest and how you digest it. I've been surprised that that's actually across all age range and all range of capability. We digest more information on the move and more quickly. It was interesting earlier, somebody said, oh, you're picking up emails on your phone. And actually, I've been watching people taking photos, tweeting them, sending information out. So we're doing things very differently now. We're digesting information in a different way, and we're sharing it in a far more instant way. And we're consuming information. We're certainly consuming video in a very, very different way. This stat here I thought was really interesting to see the shift of videos being used each month, now up to 12 billion. And again, I reflect on my own behavior, and I actually click and watch videos on the train on the way to work far more than I would have read a news digest or even read the newspaper. Maybe that's just because I'm lazy. We'll ask Will later. I'm sure he'll tell you. So we're consuming more video, and in fact, we find video content more appealing. So when we were starting out, when I'm talking to customers, I wanted to be able to tell them why that is, not just it's a great thing and we're all doing things differently now. But there are some hard facts around it. And we are digesting more video. YouTube, number 2 search engine. That's because the trend is moving that way. But there are some human reasons why video is so appealing. And here they are. I don't know whether you've ever seen this before, but I've never heard this word, fusiform. I shall now adopt it as my own. So, but the facial area makes us pay attention to faces. So this isn't just about video about stuff. And actually, Joel's presentation was really interesting. In every image, you know, we're talking about techies, but actually it was a very human piece. All of the images were around people and their faces. We actually pay a lot more attention to somebody's face. The true voice really does convey rich information. Imagine Matt's presentation if he'd sent it to you without him articulating the points he made. This thing we know, which emotions are contagious, but how you're then conveying your recruitment method is also contagious. But also, just really simply, movement grabs attention. This is stuff we know, but actually, that's why video is very appealing. And we're becoming far more consumer-led in the way we want to take information. So is this thing called video just for kids? And we tested this. You know, was video and video in our world around selection just going to work for grads? Is it going to be a poppy fun thing? And actually, we've seen that that isn't the case. And that video is far easier to adopt than some other technologies because it guides you through a process. There's a human touch, as I said, with all of those indicators, and actually it's very easy to work through. It doesn't need a technical level of knowledge. So how are recruiters reacting? That's the important thing here. And often when I go to conferences, I hear people standing up preaching something that's unattainable, and actually I'm seeing really positive, a positive move where businesses are already making great strides to get it right. So what I'm seeing is recruiters really assessing their entire process. They've started out, they've built their ATS, they've built their mobile site, they've got a career site and all of the other technical aspects around their recruiting process. They're almost onto plan B now. They're now looking at how they can make it really work for them. First you have one, then you have one that works. So what are they doing and how are they using video in the process? This is what we're seeing. And we're definitely seeing recruiters acting as marketeers and recruiters. We're seeing them use video to attract candidates in the first place, and you heard earlier conversation about this true employer brand message and show the reality behind the doors. That's Joel's whole piece was around show people what your business is really about, and we're seeing that a lot with video ad campaigns. We're seeing realistic job profiles through video. But then we're seeing video moving into the engagement and selection space with introductory videos around the workspace, talking candidates through the process, and then using video to help them articulate why they're great, why they're motivated to work for a company, and also to see video as an output from some of the cool tests. You'll be hearing from Cute later. The output through video can also be very engaging for the recruiter, but for the candidate as well. And I think that's what we're seeing is the biggest shift. Communication is two-way. It's a great experience for candidates, but it's also a great experience for recruiters, which has always been an aspiration of mine, but some have said that world peace was easier to find. And then finally, we're seeing recruiters that really get this whole cradle to grave piece around hiring and then people management. They're using video to onboard, keep candidates engaged, and keep candidates connected with the wider business, right through from CEO across the world sometimes. So what are they doing? What we're seeing is the most successful approach, and if I take it back to that process, how do you hire? Our usual approach for hiring people is to start by looking at the skills and experience and then moving on to look at the motivators. So what we're really saying is actually you could flip it on its head, try and engage with the motivators and attributes of an individual and help them to decide if they're right fit for your organization. So this fits nicely with some of the other presentations this morning, where we're saying don't try and attract the world and then manage them through technology. Give them the reality, give them a great experience, show them what you want, listen to what they want, and right fit candidates will decide to stay in your process. And video can help you do that beautifully. So, who's getting it right? How many of you have seen the Heineken advert, the Heineken job advert? If you haven't, I'll happily send you the link. I won't play it now, as tempting as it is, but I found this data off the back of it, which I just think is fabulous. It's a great video around job interviews, and the bit for me about the data out of it, yeah, we know that the campaign went viral and there were 5 million plus views, 279% uplift of visits to the HR site. Does that mean that actually it's attracting too many of the wrong people? Really, it tells you what Heineken's all about and what it's like to work there. So by rights, it should be right fit people. But the bit that I loved was that 91% of existing employees enjoyed the video. I suppose that's what Joel was talking about, wasn't he? You know, make sure that your own employees love working there and then let them be your advocates. Google recently produced a report that talked about rebooting and reframing for recruiters, and they really were advising recruiters to change their behavior and use technology. Unilever do this very well with a video on their careers site about their heritage, and with KFC, they talk about why KFC is a great place to work, regardless of whether you like their chicken. But really, the message that can be conveyed very clearly through video is the fact that you are hiring and that you're open to have a conversation. And sometimes that's difficult to do with a one-page advert on a job board. Kinetic have used words and pictures and video to engage with candidates. They've done this by displaying a candidate charter on their site, which is quite traditional, I think, but actually when you see it brought alive, that really does say why they're great at what they do and why you should apply to them. Deloitte have done a great job with their green room on Facebook. Again, it's the human touch for them. It's about getting direct connection with candidates rather than them being a faceless corporate. But the point here is that actually you've got 1,000 different touch points. Well, actually there's 8 touch points where you can communicate with a candidate. And as Matt said, encourage them to make the right decision, and you can apply video to every one of those touch points. So with our customers, they do it in some interesting ways. Sony have really brought the role alive for a hiring piece there, using video interviewing and screening, but as a precursor to that, they're showing a fabulous video about the individuals that the candidates would be representing. Okay, so this is very polished and beautiful, but actually the job is pretty polished and beautiful, so it's still a match to the candidates. With Harrods, they've done a fabulous job of really showing the personality behind the brand, and this young lady heads up their assessment team. This is a precursor to their video selection process that then flows into an assessment. And really, the customers that are doing it right are the ones that have listened to what candidates are saying. So I know that we've just had the Candidate Experience Awards for this year, but the data out of last year was saying that candidates wanted you to be honest and transparent, treated with respect. They want to be part of a community. They don't want a long-winded application process. And that's all very well. Every candidate wants to actually sit in front of the CEO of your business and have a chat. The reality is that you have to put technology in place to manage response in a human way and try and achieve these objectives. And we're seeing that video is possible. And the feedback is positive about the experience, about the company, but also on the flip side, it gives a candidate to show why they're human and why they would be right for your business. Seeing data like this around a positive experience. Somebody asked me, well, surely a video interview or any interview is a horrible experience. Nobody wants to be judged. Well, nobody wants to be judged, but at some point you've got to interview a candidate and decide whether they're right for you and you're right for them. Similarly, none of us particularly enjoy taking an exam, but we're driven for the outcome. So that's my whistle-stop tour around the world of video. Really, for me, video is a medium that allows you to engage better with your candidates. And if you can do that to positive effect, then you're a step closer to making your lives a lot easier. That's who I am. There's no picture on that one. You can see I created this slide. But thank you very much.